gotta be an idiot to bet on that parlay.
It's DTF or bust.
Put it on my mama's porch tomorrow. Welcome back to the Hold My Bev podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Park. Here with me, as always, the one, the only DTF Jayhawk.
Hello, everyone.
We're on to the divisional round now. Big weekend coming up. Got some good games, possibly some big upsets.
7 games left.
Yeah, 7 games left in the season. Pretty sad to see it go. Are coming up so soon, but we're getting to the big show now. This is what all the marbles are for.
And I love marbles.
Yes, I do too.
No, this is exciting. What a good weekend. I've been going back and forth on my picks, and I'm starting to feel a little better. But these are going to be some great games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to this weekend. Um, I actually think that there could be at minimum, well, at maximum two or three upsets this week.
I
Which is
think
huge
there's
because
at
we
least
only
2.
got one round until the Super Bowl afterwards.
Yep.
Um, I think there could be some games that these teams will shock the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But before we get into our divisional round preview, just a couple of things we want to catch up in the sports world. Um, First being Belichick's being brought in for a second interview. With our luck, he's gonna be hired by the Falcons by the time this gets out in the morning.
Yep.
Um, but it pretty much sounds like it's a done deal. I mean, I don't think you really bring a coach in for 2 interviews and him not get hired, considering you don't really go in for 2 interviews for many jobs and not get hired.
Exactly. It's
Uh,
weird, though. It's so random for him to go to the Falcons.
yeah, but I mean, it fits his description on what he wants
Yep.
pretty much to a T. He wants to go to a very talented team that underperformed.
Right.
And the Falcons have a bunch of talent both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. Got to figure out what the quarterback situation is going to be, but I mean, you get Belichick at the helm. I
They're going
mean,
to trade for Justin Fields.
I mean, I could easily see that happening. I think it makes all the sense in the world, especially if they're going to be getting another second round pick. If Jacksonville decides to re-sign Calvin Ridley, I don't know if you knew anything or know much about that trade clause.
No.
So basically, in that trade that the Falcons made with the Jaguars, um, part of the deal was if and this is the year's pick that it would affect. If the Jaguars decide to re-sign Calvin Ridley, they will have to give the Falcons their second round pick this year. Otherwise,
Oh,
they'll be giving them their third round pick this year.
gotcha.
They let
So it's
them.
a conditional pick.
Yes. But also I'm trying the pear one for the first time, and I'm gonna be trying the plum one. I tried the raspberry high noon. Uh, I loved it.
It's really good.
Yeah, the raspberry was
Plum
really
plum
good.
is right up there though. Like both plum and raspberry are like elite. Pear is mid. I thought the cranberry one was ass.
Really,
Um,
I like the cranberry one,
yeah.
but I also really like cranberry juice.
Did you have the lemon one yet?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Nope, just like a vodka lemonade. But I haven't tried tangerine yet. I'm very excited
That
to try
one
that one.
is amazing.
Is it?
Yes,
Hmm.
amazing.
I haven't found the stool pack yet, or the stoolie like President El Presidente pack.
Yeah, they had a bunch at the liquor store by my house.
Hmm. I'll have to check again, but definitely like this new Snowbird pack.
Yeah, no, this is overall as a pack, it's probably been my favorite pack for like all the flavors combined.
That's what I was saying too.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite personally, and I hope they keep it around.
Me too.
Yeah, I hope it's not just strictly for the snowbirds.
No,
Do you have a guest in the room with you?
I have 2 guests in a
Oh,
room. They
would you
won't
like to
leave me
introduce
alone. They
them?
don't know personal space.
Would you like to introduce them?
No,
Okay. They're not
ignore,
special then.
ignore them.
Okay. Um, anyways, we were talking about Belichick. Um, they also did interview Jim Harbaugh, which I know you mentioned that he also interviewed with the Chargers as well for their head coaching position. It just seems like it's going to be a done deal that Jim Harbaugh is coming back to the NFL. Especially with all his pretty much star players, I guess you could say, from Michigan going into the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Um, but I know how bad he wants to win a Super Bowl. It has the Chargers written all over it. I would like to give our buddy Alex a shout out for calling it out if he does sign with the Chargers, because he did call that. I saw that a
Hmm.
few weeks ago. Um, and then last thing, this one actually really surprised me. Mike McCarthy is going to be returning as the Cowboys head coach next season.
That was a big
Everyone
shocker.
said that he was pretty much fired.
Hmm.
I do you think that's a huge mistake?
I don't know if it's a mistake. It's just a shocker. They've not gotten, they've almost like hit their ceiling in respect of they've gone 12 and 5, 12 and 5, 12 and 5, or whatever it was,
They've plateaued.
Yeah, they've plateaued. And at some point, it's like you hit a wall. Now what? I don't know what kind of changes they're going to make for next season, but there's going to have to be some changes. Like maybe Dak is the problem. Maybe you go after Derrick Henry. Maybe you fire the OC and get a new OC. I don't know, but ultimately something's going to change. But I can't believe they kept McCarthy of all the decisions to be made.
Yeah, I thought that was the easy scapegoat.
Hmm.
Not that I think McCarthy's a terrible coach by any means. I don't think he's enough to push the needle. I get that he won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, but at the end of the day, I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers in his prime. And that was a year that he was basically unstoppable too.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to point out fun fact that I was listening to yesterday. It even though I usually hate this dude, Mad Dog on ESPN.
Hmm.
Do you know who that is?
Hmm.
Um, he was talking about how the Cowboys are worth nine something billion dollars. Um, how can they be the most expensive franchise in the NFL and most glorified franchise in the NFL and not have a top 10 coach?
Yeah.
Because you could easily name 10 coaches that are better than him, or you would rather have over him.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting because I never really thought of, how many coaches were actually better than him. And that's a lot of the things that like I think about when people were talking about like Stefanski getting fired, which obviously now people aren't saying. But when that was going around, I'm like, who are you gonna have to replace him? Granted, this would have been the year to do it, but obviously he's probably gonna win Coach of the Year if D'Amico Ryans doesn't win it. Um, which do you think that's more of a debate now, actually, for Coach of the Year? Or do you think that should
Yeah.
be strictly a regular season? Because even then, I thought it was a debate.
I truthfully think those awards should come out before the playoffs start because you could get left with a really salty, bad taste in your mouth like we were with the Browns losing so bad in the first round that it almost just makes you forget about how magical this season was. You just throw it all out the window because it was all for nothing after we got blown out by the Texans, who has another coach up to for debate. So that basically was the game to decide who wins coach of the year, in my opinion. And he got out coached.
Yeah, I think it should be like the NBA where it's a regular season award and the playoffs should not count towards it.
Hmm. Did you
Um,
see the clip of D'Amico Ryan's telling that linebacker to watch Flacco's eyes and creep on him and get the pick?
yeah,
Like
no, that was
he
crazy.
called it
He
out.
literally called it perfectly.
Insane how he knew.
Yeah, I mean he was a stud when he played in the NFL.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, I'm happy for them. I'm
Yeah,
happy for them. I like seeing CJ Stroud do good.
me
So
too.
yeah. Speaking of the Texans, Dunn, is there anything you wanted to talk about before we get into this divisional matchup?
Mm, not a whole lot. Um, I guess let me just double check before we move on. It's it's been like a one of those weeks where you just keep hitting refresh on Twitter to see what's next.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't really seen much. No, mm, other than no, really, that's it. We've pretty much covered everything. I know you had mentioned on Twitter, um, prayers to the family and organization of the Golden State Warriors for the loss of how do you say his name? Dejan Milojevic.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. He passed away. I think it was a heart attack, they said.
Hmm.
At 46 years old. At first, when they said they postponed the game, I had no clue what had happened. Saw that he was hospitalized, but I'm like, okay, it wasn't clear on what it was, and then next thing I know, hour later, he's dead.
Yeah.
It's pretty tragic. Um, and then I also mentioned, we talked about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was just on Bussin with the Boys recently, talking about how he was actually really close to being traded to two teams. He wouldn't say what two teams, but we're pretty positive we know what teams they were.
Two AFC teams.
Yes. And
Were
my
you
guess
think?
was the Ravens and the Bills.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there's a chance of the Browns, but there's nothing for the Browns to trade.
No, no, I don't think the Browns were serious contenders in that.
Yeah. No.
They might have seen what the value was, but
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, maybe he'll explain in March when he's officially a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, he won't have any kind of restriction whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Um, but where do you see him going next year?
I th One of two things. He wants to chase a ring. He's gonna go somewhere who needs a running back and is a contender. It'll either be somebody like the Cowboys or the Bills, the Ravens. I wouldn't say the Chiefs because they've got something really good going with Pacheco. Um,
That and they don't really go after running backs either.
no. I don't know though. I think I could see him chasing the ring with that aspect or chasing the ring with wherever Mike Vrabel goes.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Rabel's players are really loyal to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm fingers crossed. For whatever reason, I have a weird feeling that he's going to be a Baltimore Raven, and I hope that he's not, even though I think that he's on the later half of his career, but
Yeah.
he's still a 1,000 yard rusher, um, and still a great player. Just not, I don't think he's King Henry anymore. I think he's just Derrick Henry. Um, But other than that, before we get into our playoff preview, I would just like to do this day in sports history. Um, so this is on January 19th. In 2002, on this date, the Tuck Rule game happened, which sorry for Raiders fans, but yeah, they called Tom Brady's fumble an incomplete pass, even though it was pretty blatantly a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, sorry if you're a Raiders fan and had to relive that for 2 seconds. You've probably seen clips on it all day today. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into this divisional matchup. We got the Houston Texans visiting the Baltimore Ravens with a spread of 9.5 and over under 43.5. Ravens
So
being the favorite too.
Ravens have been inactive realistically for 3 weeks. They've not started it. Their starters haven't started a game in 3 weeks. It's a long time to be resting. I don't think that means that they're going to have an edge or be hindered from playing at their best. I think that this game is going to be I think the AFC games are going to be the high power scoring games. I think you take over 43 and a half here. This is by far a really low and the lowest line of any of the four games. Um, Two high powered juggernaut offenses. I mean, we're only asking for 3 touchdowns basically each. It's really
Yeah, no.
nothing.
Yeah, no. I feel like this is a gimme for the over 43 and a half. I'm gonna go ahead and hammer that on this. I don't want to touch that spread because I don't think the Texans are bad enough for 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, absolutely 43 over 43 and a half on this game. Uh, what do you think the Texans odds are winning this game?
Listen, any given Sunday, any given Saturday in this case, it's a 50-50 shot. They're playing some of their best football right now. Stroud is healthy. He's got Nico Collins. Their defense looked like they were amped last week. They're not going to just go down easy against the Ravens. The Ravens are going to have to play at their best, and Lamar is going to have to play at his very best to get past this defense. Um, but this defense does have weaknesses, and I can see him torching the defense with, deep balls to Zay Jones, or I'm sorry, Zay Flowers. So, um, one player prop I do like is the Zay Jones over receiving yards. I think
Zay
right now it's
Flowers.
currently sitting at where is he at? He's currently at 49 and a half. I think that's super easy.
Yeah, no, I like that prop. I like that prop. I don't know if I'm gonna do many props on this game other than maybe some Stroud passing yards,
Mm-hmm.
um, and maybe a Nico anytime touchdown. Uh, but that's gonna be a game time decision for me. But those are some that I like in this game. Um, let's see. Let's get into our next Saturday game. We have the Green Bay Packers visiting the San Francisco 49ers with also a 9.5 point spread and over under 50 and a half, with the 49ers being the heavy favorites at home, of course.
The
Um,
49ers are 0-5 against the spread their last five home games, just to keep in mind.
okay, I like that. Um, I also have a gut feeling the 49ers are, I know they were a little banged up the last week or two, with McCaffrey being hurt. I don't know. I have a gut feeling about this game. I feel like Jordan Love is built up on all that momentum, and I'm not saying I'm taking the Packers here necessarily, but uh, I'm not against it either.
If there was one team between the Ravens and the 49ers to lose this weekend, it's the 49ers.
Okay, so
We
you
have
think it's the
seen we have
49ers?
seen some super stunk fest games by Purdy this year. We have not seen Lamar Jackson, I don't think once this year, really play a bad game. The Browns beat him, but the Browns still gave up a lot to Lamar Jackson. You could argue that that first Steelers game was kind of shitty. Um, but ultimately the 49ers, you miss one, piece from that offense, and Brock Purdy for some reason just crumbles under pressure.
Yeah, my biggest thing on this game, if the Packers defense can play like they did last week, because they had stunk under Joe Barry the whole year for the most part. If they can play like they did last week against the Cowboys, I think they have a true shot here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all going to depend on that defense. I think Jordan Love's going to come out and do his thing. Um, but what prop are you liking on this game?
I'm going with the Packers 9.5 point spread. I'm gonna go with the 49ers 0-5 in the last five at home, and I'm rooting for the underdog here. So, I'd love to take Packers money line, but I think playing the 9.5 point spread is a little safer.
Okay, I like that. I think I'm actually gonna go with the over on this one. I know it's a lot of points, but I feel like this is either gonna be a close game and it's gonna end uh I don't know, maybe in the 30s. Um, I think this is gonna be an absolute shootout, if anything. Um, so go ahead and give me that over 50 and a half. Just going with my gut.
I like it.
Next, I think, other than this next game after this, um, we just got a great lineup this week.
Yeah, all these
Um,
games are going to be 50-50.
yeah. Um, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the Detroit Lions. Um, this game a lot closer than the first two, with a 6.5 point spread and over under 49. With the Lions being the favorites at home, which most of the time in the playoffs, at least at this stage, the home team is going to be the favorite.
Don't bet against Baker. I've said this all year. Never bet against Baker.
Yeah,
Give me
this,
that, give me that Buccaneers money line.
man,
So the
it's
Buccaneers
so
got
tough.
hosed. Buccaneers got hosed in their matchup this year against the Lions, but I don't think that it can translate with how they're playing as of late because they got the shit kicked out of them. Well, I wouldn't say the shit kicked out of them. They lost to the Eagles earlier in the year too, and then shit pumped the Eagles. Different team. I mean, banged up, but I don't know. That Lions game was too close for me to believe that Rams defense was better than the Buccaneers defense.
Yeah, I'm really on the fence on this one. I really want to see the Lions make it, but at the same time, the Buccaneers, they're really making it difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll say shit. I'll root for Baker. At the end of the day, we did him dirty. Um, and a lot of my family's Buccaneers fans. Let's ride the ship.
Yep.
Bucks money line.
I am a secondary Buccaneers fan, and I am riding with Baker because I always will and always have. Buccaneers money line.
All right. And then the last game that we have is the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Buffalo Bills. Going to be another snow game. 2.5 point spread with over under 45 and a half, with the Bills being the favorite at home.
Pretty crazy. Just looking at the numbers right off the bat, you got the Bills as the favorites in this game. They obviously did just beat the Chiefs about a month ago, by 1 point in Kansas City. Pick, take what you want from this game, but Patrick Mahomes, this is his first road game, so a lot of the storyline for this weekend is can Patrick Mahomes win on the road? I think this might be one of the easiest underdog bets ever. I think you have to go Chiefs money line here.
Yeah, Mahomes is another person that you don't bet against. Um, and I think this game's gonna be another one for the books. I don't know if it's gonna be like that game that happened, what, 2 years ago
The
in the
overtime
playoffs.
game.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna get that crazy or not. Very well could, but I'm not gonna bet against Mahomes. He's never lost before the AFC Championship, so I'm not gonna doubt him now.
No, and I truthfully, like I said, the whole storyline is can he win on the road? He's gonna win on the road. He's going to. He's going to. He's going to. He's going to.
Yeah, I
You got a
still think it's
banged
gonna be
up.
a shootout
You
though.
have a very banged up Bills defense. Like they're dropping like flies, and I'm pretty sure that this Kansas City defense is almost full strength. and they're gonna eat Josh Allen alive. Josh Allen might throw two, three interceptions.
Yeah, and Rashid Rice is, just getting better and better each week. He
Yeah.
looks amazing. Like, do not be surprised if by this time next season, Rashid Rice is considered a top 15 wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
if not top 10. I'm not ready to put him there yet, but I think he could at least be top 15 this time next year.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think we're both gonna go ahead and hammer the Chiefs money line on this one. Uh,
And it's not because I want the Chiefs to win, because I really would like to see a new team in the Super Bowl this year, which I think regardless we're gonna get a new team in the Super Bowl. Um, but just looking at the numbers, I just feel like Chiefs got this one in the bag.
yeah, no, I could agree with that one. Um, let's see. It's the only thing that stinks about this time of year is we don't have nearly as many games to talk about. Um, do you think anything's going to be happening in Philadelphia? I know Jason Kelsey basically turned down those rumors that he was retiring. They got leaked, but I still think he's retiring. I think he just wants to do it on his own terms.
I think he's pulling a Tom Brady. It was announced that Tom Brady was retiring, and Tom Brady said, "No, I'm not." And then he retired
Yeah.
on his own terms. So yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, if I was him, I'd get pissed off if someone announced my retirement before I even could. Um, but it was pretty easy to tell after that game, just looking at him when the camera kept going over to him, super emotional. Granted, he's a pretty emotional dude in the first place. In a good way. In a good way. He's a competitor. Um, but he just looked like he was done. And he
yeah.
knows there's a lot of big changes coming this season or this next.
Oh yeah.
Um, Curious what kind of moves they're gonna make. I could see them getting rid of one of their good offensive linemen if it's not Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a Lane Johnson, try to build some more capital now that you have Jalen Hurts paid. Um, or even possibly trading Devontae Smith. I mean, he's gonna be due for a contract soon.
Yeah, and they seem like they love AJ Brown.
Yeah, even though AJ Brown I think is gonna cause more problems than help them from here on out.
Yeah. I'm
Considering
looking at
I personally think he could have played in that game.
well, he probably could have, but like I said, it sounded like he wasn't even at the game, was he?
I don't believe he was.
Yeah.
I know I saw it was either Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham um that he gave him a game jersey autographed and it said always open like he was planning on leaving.
Yeah.
Either that or he is just always open.
Mm-hmm.
Easily could be that too, but I know some media was trying to stir some stuff up with that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's going to be a great weekend for us. Whether you're betting or you're just being a casual football fan, you're going to have some great games this week, regardless.
I'm gonna miss the first game pretty much. Because I'll be working at Guards Fest downtown.
Yeah, I'll be just getting off work like at the end of the first quarter.
We're gonna be working at the game used stand though, so I'm sure I'll have the game propped up on my phone.
Oh yeah. Um, but let's go ahead and just one thing I wanted to add in here real quick. Um, Dylan, I want you to give me your current prediction with the way that things are laid out right now. Who is your Super Bowl matchup and who is your Super Bowl winner?
Um, well, I have two. So my realistic Super Bowl matchup is the Ravens 49ers. Ravens winning. My fantasy Super Bowl would be Texans, Lions, and Lions winning it all.
That'd be nuts.
But I'd even be cool with Texans winning. Like, so Texans Lions would be great because I want either of those teams to win, or Texans Bucs, but I don't think Baker's gonna make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Um, Another one would be Texans Packers. I really like any team but the 49ers on the NFC, and I really like the Houston Texans to go all the way. But it would also be cool to see the Bills. So I'm just so torn, dude. It's like I know it's gonna be Ravens 49ers, but I want some story, some cool story to make it to the Super Bowl. What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't really want to admit my realistic one. I easily could see the Ravens making it. But I'm just gonna say this to be a little bit different. We got Chiefs versus 49ers on mine. But the 49ers get the last laugh this time.
Okay. Rematch.
Um, My dream one is pretty similar to yours, is Lions versus Texans. But basically, I'm going to be rooting for whoever wins this Lions Bucks game at the end of the day because I really do want, even though I'm saying that I'm betting on the Buccaneers, I really do want the Lions to win too. So like that's why it's going to be hard for me to really like bet on the game. The only reason I want to bet on it is to, you know, get a little bit more into the game and, the Buccaneers odds for what they are. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just glad that it's Bills Chiefs to go to the AFC Championship and not Bills Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl because I like that the Bills um have to beat the Chiefs to go to um another round. I don't know. It's just I don't want it to come down to the Chiefs Bills. Like I want it to be different.
Right.
So I'm excited that it's a little different this year. It's not the Bengals, Chiefs. Um, it's gonna be a fun. It's already been a fun playoffs, so it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, Other than that, Dylan, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about this episode?
Not that I could think of, except making sure that you're gambling responsibly, you're having fun, you're winning big. It's a new year. Set resolutions and goals for yourself, and call 1-800-GAMBLER if you got an issue.
Yeah, it seemed like the lad might be lost in the desert again.
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, he was AFK. He said he had some things to do, so
Yeah,
I'm scared that he went back to the desert.
yeah, he's just a man on business.
Yeah,
But until next time.
yeah. Goodbye.